Hooray! It's not an EV or a hybrid. It feels like that's all I've driven in 2020. Finally, we've got a proper car. This is, as you know, the F-Type SVR. It's the 5-litre supercharged V8 with 575 horsepower. And I know what you're thinking, the fat man's brought the old one for a video. He's not got the new facelifted one. But you're right. However, Jaguar has still got this on the press fleet, so I've taken it. Jaguar will still sell you one of these pre-facelift SVRs for about £117,000. But that's kind of why I want to talk to you about it today, because yes, they'll still charge you the full 6 figures for one of these, but the reality is, if you go on eBay or other websites that sell second-hand cars, you can get one of these, basically a year and a half old, for, well, let's play a game. How much do you think? 100 grand? Nah. 90 grand? No. 80 grand? No. 70? No. £62,000 with 2,000 miles on it. That's ludicrous. This car is a half-price bargain right now. So if you want a 4-wheel drive 575 horsepower V8 powered lunatic mobile, you can save yourself £60,000, which is insane value for money. So I'm going to do a quick review of this with that in mind. Now that this isn't 120 grand, we can judge it as a 60 grand car, and it always kind of struggled to justify that 6-figure price tag, let's be honest. So now we're going to judge it against things like the new Porsche Cayenne GTS, which is actually about 10 grand more than you can get one of these for, and it's nowhere near as fast. This will pretty much knock on the door of 200 miles an hour. It's basically a British hot rod. I can't think of anything else that you can buy in the UK for 60 grand that will do nearly 200 miles an hour and 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds with this glorious V8 soundtrack. So yeah, has the F-Type's depreciation improved the car? Let's find out. So, what's a half-price Jag like to drive? Well, for a start, it's really, really quick. It'll do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, but then so will the normal F-Type R. So there's not a huge difference between that and this, even though this has 575 horsepower as opposed to 550. You could pick holes in it, sure. You could pick holes in the camera mount as well, because it's now staring at my crotch. So this Jag might be half price then, but what's it like to drive? Well, here's one thing for starters. I can tell you this. It's really stupidly fast. It's just ridiculous. And that V8 makes the most amazing sound. It's brilliant. Sure, you could pick holes in it. You could say that the steering is a little bit lightweight. It doesn't really give you the confidence that 911 would, but then you go like this, and you don't care because of that noise. You could look around the cabin, and you could say, whoa, do you know what? This feels a bit cheap. This rising air vent thing's a bit dated, and it just feels a little bit old in here. But then, you know what? You shift in second gear, you put your foot on the floor, and you don't care anymore! It's hilariously fast. It's the combination of speed and the noise that just envelops you in the experience, and you don't care that it's not as sharp to drive as a 911 or an Audi R8 even. Yes, you have to admit that the F-Type has always been known as a bit of a porker, and this one will weigh on the bad side of 1.7 tons. So when you get to a corner, you do sense the weight, but not too much because the steering's so light, and that leaves you in this realm of not knowing how hard you can push. So if you're looking for the last word in fun driving dynamics, nah, it's not this. But you know what? I don't care! So the 4-wheel drive in this car, it serves two purposes. It helps you hit 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds and put all 575 horsepower to the ground and all of that torque. It also stops the poo coming out of your bum the entire time. See, mostly stops the poo coming out of your bum. See, when the F-Type first came out, the V8 one was rear driven, and that was terrifying. I drove one of those and the traction control was just blinking in your face the entire time. And you know, if you'd spent 70, 80 grand on one of them, you could only ever use about 20 grand's worth of power from it. With four-wheel drive, the F-Type really came into its own. You can use the power. You always end up going way too fast for the road, but I'll leave it up to you to decide whether you can have too much power for the road. But as an overtaking machine, this is amazing. And the convertible adds to the experience. It's only about 25 kilograms more than the hardtop, so you don't really sacrifice anything. And it's not the sharpest handling thing in the world anyway, so go for the convertible. I don't agree with the little spoiler on this. That looks silly. Okay, so what other things aren't amazing about it? The gearbox is actually pretty good. You get nice cracks on the upshifts, and it also shifts pretty quickly considering it's a torque converter, not a dual clutch jobby, so I can't really fault that. The boot space is a bit on the small side, and yes, weirdly it has one of those grab handles to stop you getting put in your own boot and kidnapped. I don't think you would fit anyone other than, I don't know, a tiny person in the boot of this car. But again, you enjoy the noise, you enjoy the sportiness, and you don't really care. It's a joyful car. It's a joyful car. And I came to it as one of these motoring journalists who think it's a bit fat, it's a bit heavy, and it's a Jag, and it's just going to be a bit half-assed. But now it's 60 grand. I'd buy one. It's almost terrifyingly fast. It's almost terrifyingly fast. The brakes are just okay. They're massive steel discs. They're not even drilled. And I think if you ever took this on a track day, they would melt in about half of that. But this isn't a track car. This is more of a Grand Tourer. It's a sports car for the road. It's actually comfortable as well. Over potholes, it's fine. It doesn't crash about. It doesn't jar your teeth. Get killed by a tractor. In the Drive office, there's Mike Fernie, as you'll know. He loves a Jag, and he bangs on about Jags and V12 Jags and Le Mans until everyone's fallen asleep. But you know what? I'm with him. This and the I-Pace are very, very good cars. And Jag, if you can please just stay in business for another 50 years to keep churning out things like this, please do so, because we'll miss you if you have to go. I don't want you to go. I just wish younger people would buy Jaguars, so we didn't think of them as a brand for men in tweed. They've got a bit of an image problem. Actually, one thing I really do not like about the interior of this car is the centre bit of the steering wheel. It's just too big. And that Leaper Jag badge, I don't know, it's just not cool. It's not cool. And you know that you're going to see this car driven by like 60-year-old blokes who have made their money and retired. Influencers, go and buy one of these, make them hip and young and cool. I'm not doing a very good job of that because I'm a bald fat man, but you can. Alcantara steering wheel's nice as well. If you're a rim fetishist, you'll appreciate the purchase you can get on this rim. Don't ever make rim jokes at traffic lights in a convertible because people might hear you. Rim jokes. He looked at me and looked down on me as if to say, twat. There's a bald man. I could only get more stereotypical if I had a baseball cap on as well to stop my bald pate getting burnt. Come on, Toyota Verso. Sorry for rubbing my nose so much. It's fucking freezing. My nose is running. When you get to a bumpy bit of country road, it doesn't flow with the road very well. You are always aware of the weight shuffling about like like a pig in a suit. It rolls about a bit, and you never feel completely hooked into the road. Oh, corner! Should probably go around this and not crash. Driving face. Driving face. Serious driving face. Okay, this. Christ, it's fast. It's a bit good. It's a bit good. To be honest, I wasn't expecting to like the F-Type SVR as much as I did, but every time you accelerate, it puts a smile the size of Jupiter on your face, and at its new second-hand price of 60 grand, you can't go wrong. It looks great. It's got proper supercar performance. It feels okay inside. I like the red leather seats. I just think as a package, you can't really go wrong for 60 grand. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go and burn some more petrol in it. Goodbye. Oh, the key's not on it. Bugger.